First of all, I want to make sure everyone understands that the meeting is being recorded. As we've gotten through COVID, we've transitioned back to a more of a hybrid approach now. And so we do in-person presentations as well as online presentations, so that the folks that can't get in or are concerned about being in large groups can still watch the screen and see what's going on there. Okay, so for those that are on screen, we do have a chat option, as you can kind of see on the screen, where if you are interested in providing or asking a question or comments, please feel free to type those in. And then as we get to the Q&A portion of tonight, then we can kind of read those and try to answer for those that are online. Okay, so with that, I have to learn to operate my tools. Put my tools. Not a good sign. You can't operate the tools. Okay, so I am Scott Sawyer. I am the project manager for this project, along with quite a few of the other projects along 179th Street corridor. But for tonight, we're particularly going to talk about this one and hopefully answer your questions. I have quite a few people here with me that are going to help with the construction of this. Unfortunately, Jess Thorne, who was my lead design engineer, is not with us. She had an incredible opportunity to go to work for EPA as an engineer. So, structural engineer for them. So, Jess is going to be Christopher now. So Christopher Getter will be our new design engineer. We got to get him up to speed on it, but he'll be taking over. We're about the 65% design stage at this point. So we still have a ways to go. So it's if we have to change out a design engineer, this is the time to do it. We're going to have to. I've got Joseph Connor with me. Joseph's over in the green. Joseph's doing the drainage design for me on this project, as well as several of the other projects. And he will be designing the storm pond and then also the storm conveyance system. And then I have Jennifer Daniels, who is in our real property services. So you will probably get to meet Jennifer. If we need to acquire property from you, that's the lady that she will be knocking on the door. Let's talk about that. We also have some guests here from the Washington State Department of Transportation.
Hi there, I'm Peterson, project engineer with Southwest Region. We're just here because we have a project on the corridor, 179th Street interchange project that's beginning, and we're having an open house on June 3rd. So we wanted to announce that and provide information for folks who would like it. And there will be more information coming as well.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Dylan Bass. I'm the Southwest Region Planning Engineer working on Complete Streets projects. And I'm assisting the Clark County Engineering Office with going through some of the active transportation aspects of the design of the interchange.
Oh, sure. I'm not with the WashDOT folks. I'm with Scott and Haley up there. My name is Kaylee McLaughlin Burton, and I'm the Communications Manager and Public Information Officer for Clark County Public Works.
In the back here is Troy Pierce. Troy is my supervisor. So if I'm doing something wrong, so tell him. He doesn't need to know. All right. Yeah, this is just not work. All right. So as you know, we're here to talk about the section of 179th from what we call 15th Avenue to 26th Avenue. Let's see. The intent of this project is to widen it to meet the current road standards. Okay, and we'll take a look after we get through here what that looks like. But the intent will be that we'll have a roundabout at 29th and a roundabout at 15th. So we're designing this so that it'll connect into those. Okay, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. No, it'll be a roundabout at 29. 29. But I'd be 29, or he's going to do that. It's the current rate, yeah, we'll stop at 29 and 179 is another project. And I'll show you a picture of it when we get there. So let me probably page down, huh? There it is. Okay, so as you can kind of see here, the intent will be building the road 56 foot curb to curb. All right, so this is gonna be built so it's fully built out. So it's not like we're gonna come back and widen it anymore. But for this first phase, we're going to stripe it so that it's a single lane in each direction with a two-lane or two-way multi-turn lane in the middle. That makes sense? And then there are gonna be some places where we'll have like a right turn lane as you have now with those arrows, and I'll show you a picture of that in just a minute. But in addition, we'll be having a 4.5 foot planter strip. That's gonna, it may come out in a little bit because we'll have signs and things of that nature, but for the most part, it'll be about 4.5 feet. And then we're gonna have 10 foot multi-use pathways. So ones that will be shared both by bikes and pedestrians. So we won't have dedicated bike lanes on the roadway. We'll share the pathway with the pedestrian. Okay,
On the north or south side.
both sides, north and south side. So all curb to curb is 56 feet.
But then you're gonna go far, how far beyond that?
Okay, then another 4.5 feet for that stripe for the landscape strip where we'll put the bushes and trees, right? On each side, and then another 10 feet for the pathways on each side. It's good. The right of way will be 100 feet. That's right. Yep. All right, let's go ahead and go to the next slide, please. So this is what I mean by the right turn lanes. You kind of see these now. That's what you'll see there as well. They'll continue to happen. Okay, next slide, please. Hopefully, a lot of you are familiar with the access management plan that the county just finished. This is the roundabout that I talked about at 29th. This is the roundabout that we're talking about at 15th. And there's another roundabout that's planned at approximately 22nd. That's developer driven. That's not, at this point, that's not going to be built by the county. Never say never, but at this point, it is not something that we're planning. Okay, so when that gets built, then the facility transitions into a roundabout corridor. If we go to the next slide, then what happens is we go to 4 lanes with a center median. All right, so then if you live on the north side, in between the roundabouts, you'll have to go down to the roundabout, come back and turn in. Okay. Any questions about that? Does that make sense?
Once you go to 4 lanes, you're gonna take more of our property.
No, see, that's why I wanted to make sure you understood that. When we do this phase now, we're doing it the ultimate. So the curbs that we're putting in place now are the curbs for the ultimate.
What phase is the fourth?
As far as timing, who knows? Developer driven, yeah, but I won't be working for the county. Yeah.
Yeah, so just a question on the center barrier. What's driving the need for that?
The decision to make this a roundabout corridor.
Not about recommending that's it.
Well, I'm just telling you that, but that's what I've been told, is that once you have a roundabout corridor, you don't use that center left turn lane. And again, you're getting in a world that I'm not in. So, yeah. So let me keep going and we can talk more later about that too, but. So right now, Whipple Creek comes underneath 179th, through a pretty small culvert. We're gonna be replacing that with a bridge. Okay? By doing that, it's gonna improve the hydraulics. So if global warming occurs and we have more and more, huge storms, things of that nature, that's gonna help the situation. It's also gonna help with the wildlife, right? We don't like to see beavers getting run over, things like that. That'll help them get up there. All the signs. It's kind of like those deer signs, deer crossing signs at the highway. Yeah, that helps them understand. That's what the difference. Did you buy that? No. Over. Yes.
Underneath. Folks can read the signs, they still cross.
We are hoping that this will provide a corridor that's a little more conducive for life. So that bridge, okay, so here's the next part. This is the part you're not gonna like, okay? So we gave our public works director an alternative here. One is we build it under traffic. What that means is you build half the bridge, right? While the traffic keeps going. And then once you get that built, you shift the traffic over, and you build the other half of it, right? That would add, based on the analysis, that would add an additional 4 to 6 months, they think, to the length of the project. To do it that way. Plus, they estimated somewhere around $100,000 extra, cost wise. So the public works director has decided that we will close the road, get the contractor in, get that bridge built, and get it open as quick as possible, okay? Yeah.
Take a while.
Correct. Yeah, so if we close the road, our estimate right now, and again, it depends on the contractor. But we're gonna be encouraging them to get that built as quick as they can. You count at least 4 months, possibly a little more. Yeah. So if we go to the next slide. So, well, okay. The other thing I want to show you, I'll tell you about the detour too, but the other thing I want to explain to you is that in addition to putting in the bridge, we're gonna raise the road up there about 10 to 12 feet. So what we've heard concerns from, especially from the Whipple Creek Neighborhood Association, is as you look to your west, the sight distance isn't so good. By lifting that up 10 to 12 feet, that should help tremendously. Okay? Yes,
If if the county were to do partial construction, does the first phase leave just one lane open? For the,
you can't, not, because it's not a 24-hour operation. It'll have to be such that you may have skinny lanes, but it'll have to be 2-lane operation. Yeah. You have to have 2 lanes. But it, correct. That's right. You can, or you can send me an email. Again, we went through this alternatives analysis with our public works director, who is the boss. And that was the decision that he's made at this point, is to close the road and get it built as quick as we can and get it back. One second, Mr. Green.
public works director, sorry.
And I do what I'm told to do, so if that's the case, then that's what we're doing. Mr. Green.
Provision in this, the bridge.
I have not talked with them about that yet, so that decision hasn't been made, but it makes sense that if you want to get it built quick, that's the best way to do it, because money talks. Yeah. Yeah, that's the problem. Possibly. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I know this road is very busy. Was it ever analyzed, peel the bridge off and slide it in? That's very common. I mean, that's used everywhere.
Yeah, and that could be a possibility. You know, that's one of the things you do also is when you bring a contractor on board, you give them an opportunity to make ideas too. Right? But
Study, sure.
yeah, but we don't know if that's what we have not analyzed that option. At this point, all we've analyzed is shutting down the road and constructing the bridge.
Still gotta do abutments.
Then you gotta do the abutments, that's a part of it, and raise the road, right?
So what timeframe, when would this,
And I don't know yet. I don't know yet, because we haven't gotten to that point where.
are you still gonna
we're-
be working?
Oh, Those are my supervisor, yes, ma'am. Yeah, well, we're gonna talk about that too. That's the only bridge in this section of the project. We're gonna back up into the bigger world here in a minute. We're gonna talk about your other bridges that you're talking about.
Because I'd like to know, we're talking about this specific bridge closed.
That's right.
What about the rest of it?
Yeah, and I'll talk about that in just a second.
Before the detour or after?
I'll talk about it in just a second. Yes, sir. Did you have a follow-up question? Are you good? Are you with? Okay, all right. Let's jump to the next one. So the other thing that is required, especially when you have federal dollars, is you have to do a noise study, a noise analysis, all right? So the study has shown that noise walls are appropriate at these 3 locations. So we've submitted the noise wall to WASDOT, who does the review. But that's what it's looking like at this point. No, man, just right here on the south side. No, but the cost for the wall is, how do I put this? And I may need some help with this one from someone who knows this stuff. When they do it, well, again, please understand, this isn't my field, but they look at the cost benefit of putting in a sound wall. If you're going to, say you look at this property here where there's no, there's no house. It doesn't make sense to spend that kind of money to put one there. If there's only a single house, but they have a driveway, then it doesn't make sense to put in a sound wall because you have to open it up for the driveway. Right? So usually what happens is when you have a subdivision, they put the houses together, that's when it kind of starts justifying financially for that cost benefit. Okay? Right, next. So right now, when that bridge goes in, this is what the anticipated detour will be. Up 10th, down 199th, and then down 29th. Okay? We don't want to encourage any cross here, because that road is not made for traffic like that. We want to make sure we get everybody up to 199. Okay, let's talk schedule. So what I've got here, the black bar, that represents the limit, what we call our preliminary engineering. That takes it to the 90% design stage. At that point, then you're far enough along, you know what the property impacts are, you know what your permit impacts, your environmental impacts, things of that nature. All right, so we anticipate getting to that 90% stage this fall. Okay. The darker blue is the environmental, what we call the environmental documentation stage. So some of you may have gotten letters from us where we have archaeologists going out and digging holes and doing analysis. Same with wetland delineation, things of that process is you're figuring out, okay, what is out there that we're going to impact, right? Once we've got all that determined, this part here is where we're submitting it to the different federal agencies, like for example, National Marine Fisheries. National Marine, what's the name?
Yes.
National Marine Fisheries, okay. They have a 2-year process because they're so backed up. It takes 2 years to get to it. And by the time you get to here, that's what's called the NEPA process. Is acronyms, 4 or more acronyms.
National Environmental Policy.
Yeah, see, you guys are all over. Okay, so as we get closer to the end of that process, that's when we start applying for our other permits through like the state, like the Corps of Engineers, the county has permits we have to give. All the other permits will be applying for those. We won't get our 401 or Department of Ecology in the core permit until the NEPA process is done. All right, so let's jump then down to the right-of-way phase. All right. So once we get to the 90%, there's going to be a couple quarters here where we're going to be working on developing our right-of-way plans and working towards the appraisal. So we'll send it out to a company. We'll send it also to WASDOT and make sure that they buy off on the appraisal process that was done right. Okay. Once that's done and we've got approval, then we can start the acquisition process. That's when we start knocking on your door and say, okay, this is what's gonna, what impact we have on you. And this is what we'd like to do to compensate you for that impact. Okay.
How far into the properties are they gonna be digging these holes for this arc wall?
I don't have a good answer. I mean, it's gotta be where we're gonna be disturbing. I mean, I can't imagine them going too much further out because there'd be no reason to do that. Yeah. Once we get the property acquired, then we have to wait. And then we can't, what we call, well, what's the term? You can't certify the right of way until the NEPA process is complete. So that's a gap of just waiting for that NEPA process to complete, right? During this time too, our engineers are they've slowed down now. They're waiting, they're making some changes that may occur during the negotiations. If we're adjusting driveways, putting in, whatever the case may be, that's when those occur. Once we get through the environmental permitting stage and we have our permits, that's then when we go to develop our bid documents. Put our plans, our specs, all of those documents together. That's then when we're going to send them out and advertise for bids. And there, we take the low bidder, no responsive bidder. It can't be just a guy that has a wheelbarrow, throw something in. They have to have the means to be able to do this project. And so right now, we're looking at possibly starting in the middle of 2028, this project, 4 years.
Will the roundabout construction, bridge construction, widening, all take place that 2 or 6 month period?
That's, okay, this is where it's gonna get complicated. Right now, there is some consideration play. Sorry, I can't really show it to you. We're round about at 15. Some consideration being given right now to connect that to this project. So that we're constructing it while we're constructing the other projects. So if we shut down the road, that's when we build that too.
Yeah.
So we're working right now with the funding agencies to see if we can shift the funding from that project over to this one. That makes so much sense. Yeah. Sir.
You covered this earlier, but this project schedule applies to the big segment.
So this that applies for this segment right here. Guys?
So 6 quarters,
Yes.
a year and a half. How does that year and a half construction period, that detour that you showed earlier?
So the detour would be a part of this world here. That's correct. Again, I can't tell you until we get a contractor on board. If we get incentive pay, we're gonna try to say, get to it right away, that.
And that detour for those required access off of it.
We close the road.
Every parcel of that.
Well,
Those that for
this, but, okay. So if you're on the east side of where that bridge is gonna be, that's where the detour comes in. Yes.
But you're closing the section over that portion and access and then some detour, but you would not restrict access for those front that section that you're closing.
How do I explain this? So, if you live on the east side of where this bridge is gonna go, you will not have access to it. We're gonna close the road and then get the contractor in to get it built. Yeah, there is one gentleman that has a driveway right here. And unfortunately, he's gonna get impacted the first, all of this. Yeah.
The point I hear is the access your parcel, you won't be able to get through here, but you will be able to come around and even if
Understood, yeah. We can't keep you from getting to your home.
Yeah. Local traffic, local access.
Where the bridge is closed. Like
Right.
property owners back,
Okay.
they just won't be able to go over the port close. They go right.
I don't know.
You physically impact.
That's right. That's right. Okay. Yeah. Good. Okay.
The duration for that closure and the timing on that schedule is still to be determined.
That's correct. So a lot of it has to do with your contractor too, right? You mentioned a good point. Contractor may come in and slide a bridge in and it may be closed for 2 months. Who knows? Well, I mean, I do have to say, we've got to build that up though, right? The approach slabs, everything has to be built up 10 to 12 feet. So that'll take a little bit of time. But you're right, there's some bridges that can. But this one we're planning on right now, 4 months, 4 to 5 months, again, depends on the contract.
So immediately west of the creek, on the south side, there used to be a house, and have you acquired that property? It's in green on your map.
So I think you're referring to where this portion in here, the stormwater.
Yes.
So, yes, so that's part by the county.
Okay, so nobody's gonna be building there. You took down the house, I take it, and,
I'm assuming so.
okay, so, and you're gonna be stormwater
Yeah, so
management.
that's right.
Is there a section of roadway that is currently built that will basically look like this when we get done?
So, let's see, right, if we can go back to where we showed where those sound wells are. So if you drive up there now, you have Whipple Creek. Those curb lines right there, when they built those, they were required to build where the curves were supposed to be. Okay? On the other side, probably the best place to look at it, where the apartments are coming in, they've got their curbs in. That kind of gives you an idea on the other side. Okay? But then understand that there'll be the landscape strip and then the walk past that. So that's just the curb.
But there's, when I was asking, if there's another section going, not there, but somewhere else around it, already had, in the county that's already had a process.
You know,
119,
Okay.
something like that.
99th Street. We just finished 99th Street from 503 to 94. If you get a chance, go look at that because this will look a lot like that. Except this one, I don't think that one has a two-way center turn lane at this point. So 99th Street from 503, well, in a ways from 503 to the west. If you get a chance, drive that. That'll give you an idea what it'll look like with the landscape strips and the walkways and, yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Here, I'm just.
Just the 99th Street may not have the same section in terms of the same width, but it'll have the same appearance in terms of multi-use path and then roundabout corridor with the median and then roundabouts on the ends. It is a narrow. It is on the west side of 503, 99th Street to the west toward 94th Avenue.
Trying to explain it, but yeah, if you get a chance, that's a great road to go kind of drive down, get a feel for it. Yes, sir. Roundabouts go in, okay, we're gonna talk about 29 next, coming up, okay? You need to understand what's gonna happen there. Let's go to the next one. Okay, well, before we get to that one, let's get to this is 179th and 50th. Okay, so we're quite a ways to the east. What we're doing there is it's an interim project, but it's gonna buy us quite a bit of time. We think at least, 10 to 15 years before we're gonna come back and put a roundabout in. All right, but instead of spending the money to put the roundabout in there now, we feel it's better to focus more between the area closer to the interchange. Okay, so what we're doing here, if you've ever come down here right now, it's a four-way stop, and it will continue to be a four-way stop. But what you're gonna see is the left turn channelization, left turn pockets on the east and west legs. Okay, so that's the interim project that's gonna start this summer. We're out to bid right now on that, okay? That will be built under traffic. So we're not closing anything for that, okay? Yeah, it's the next one that you're gonna go, oh. Okay. 29th, 179th and 29th, right? We're putting in two bridges now, right? If you've been down 29th, you come up there, you know that it does this thing. In order to get a roundabout, we've got to flatten that area, right? So we're gonna be rising this up, we're gonna put in a bridge here, and then we're gonna put a bridge in here. And again, that helps with the hydrology, it helps with the animals, all of that with that, okay? So this will be closed. This will be closed during this construction. Again, a similar situation, this would be a lot more expensive to build under traffic. But so close the road, right? Get these built and then get it back. But yeah. No. So this ultimate thing will be about a 2-year project. Okay, but we're doing it in stages such that we get the bridges in first, all right? And then try to get at least this part up open first. And then the other stages focus on these other parts. Okay? No, I think Mill Creek, isn't Mill Creek down by 50th?
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is an unnamed.
it's a tributary okay, yeah, I think it's unnamed, yeah. Okay, so during this construction, detour up 10th, 199, and part of it will come back down 50th, because this will be, part of it will be closed here, right? Closed here, closed here, closed here. Right? So then part of it will come down to 50th. Once we get this part opened up, then we can open that up to the detour. Right? So we're currently scheduled to begin this one, if my permits come in, 2025. Okay, so 2025, 2026, it may carry over a little bit with landscaping, things of that nature. But that's the timeline for that. So this one will be in place when this starts. Okay, that's our plan. Sir,
Just real quick, unless.
Oh, yeah. let me give you this because I think it's important. You're about to.
Talk projects in the area. So again, I'm Les McDonald, Park Regional Wastewater Planning and Development Program. There are two development projects that are going to be happening in this corridor starting this summer. So the first of them is actually shown at the top of this screen. That big field there right at the dead center at the top is the location for the Richfield School District Middle School project. Now, the school construction itself, timeline is still up in the air. They have gone to pass a lot of those kind of things, but in advance now, they are working with their contractor that they just brought on board to build a sanitary sewer system. They'll start at their site, come down 29th to the roundabout, quite a ways off of the street. That is a large diameter trunk line within 179. It's extremely deep. There will be some pretty significant road impacts this summer related to that. And we actually are meeting with the county staff here shortly this week. Talk about some coordination about road impacts, closures, restoration, and all that time. For the east-west, it's primarily 15-inch. Flowing towards the east. It goes to a place, that's a couple of draws over to the east. There's that kind of lower creek there just before you get to the EPA corridor. Was a little bit shy. Project will be installing a pump station. The district-owned facility that will then take that flow from that trunk line coming from the school and then put it into a pressure pipe and run it all the way back west through this roundabout, all the way over to where the apartments are in construction. So two projects that will be going on this summer. So as part of our coordination is between two developers, school districts, the subdivision developer, two different contractors working in the same area, the same time. So
Where do they end up?
do they end up at? Trace this way we go. Will be on the north side.
But I do want to say, there'll be, since it's going in before we build the bridge, when we come in to build our bridge, we're going to kind of redirect it, connect to our bridge. So we'll go underneath our bridge, but the majority of
It's a portion.
it, that's right.
So the gravity system for this entire area. For that pump station. Go through the pump station, force main, all the way back to the west of where the apartments are. It goes just a little west from there and then goes south to more of our district system. And it continues on south on Genie Road. Towards Hazel, rest of the district system.
So how far from the road is this sewer line gonna be?
It's gonna be on the north edge of that road.
So
For
they're
sure.
gonna pave over the top of that? Once they widen the road?
When the county project comes through in stages along the corridor, yes, they will be building over the top of that sewer system. So that's yet to be determined. That's part of the discussion on our coordination meeting that's coming up, figure out how best to handle that. We have not heard yet from the county roads folks if they will allow a full closure or it's going to be needed. It's a deep line. And so it has a possibility that it will be necessary, but we still have to work through this. With the depth of this line and the location on the shoulder, it's possible the closure could be less. I will be here most of the meeting after the presentation, so if you guys have questions about soup out there, please come see me.
I do want to add one. So as part of our project, we'll be building gravity lines on the south side coming up and then the west side going east. All right, so that it'll go into a manhole that is coming down from the school, so that everything will go that way, right? It's gonna be a deep one. That's right. That's right. All right, let's go and go to the next one. So this is what we're looking at over here on the picture here. I just wanted to put it up on the screen to kind of give you an idea of what you can expect as far as timelines. There are variables, right? Property acquisition is property acquisition. It's not an easy process. Getting your permits is not an easy process. You wait in line until it's your turn, all of those things. So our plan, we talked about 29th, we talked about 50th. So the next one is, well, technically the next one is going to be the interchange, right? If they go out to bid in 2027, and there's no guarantees, that would start the next one. This one, 2028, right? And then, there's the question, that's possibility of shifting this roundabout into this project. I think it makes sense. We all think it makes sense. We've got to convince the people with the money. That would be, so that would be with this one possibly. If not, both the Delfell project, Delfell realignment, and the 15th Avenue project would likely be shortly after this one gets completed in 2029 is when we'll start.
The Northeast interchange.
Most likely. I'm gonna say most likely. When you have, the roundabout, it can't connect, right? So if it doesn't happen as a result of development, it'll happen as a result of that. And the same thing with 10th Avenue. We can't continue to have, going off I-5, continue to 10. Okay. Make sense? Okay. And I think the next one is just my contact information. You can take pictures so you know how to get hold of me. I've got cards over there. You have questions, please. I'll try my best to answer.
What's the great timeline for the 179th Street interchange project?
I
Yeah, if I.
So phase, and like I said, we have an open house coming up, so we will be going through our pre-run phase and starting design. And just like Scott's projects, we have an environmental process to go through that's pretty long, and then right-of-way acquisition. So we anticipate finishing the design by 2027 or 2028, and then going to construction in 2028.
So for the next 6 years of your lives,
What, for that project, what are the road closures? Are there?
So we are really early. When we get through in the design phase, we will work out all the road closures and how, obviously we're coordinating among the county projects too. So we're coordinating how all of the closures along 179 will need to take place. So that's coming later. We're just getting started now.
That intersection is really rough. You guys gonna be doing maintenance on it leading up to construction, or are you just gonna?
Can I get this? Which is.
Really rough over there, so I'm just wondering if they're planning on doing any maintenance on it.
One 179th and Union Delta.
what it's more of a match.
I mean, we do have a preservation. Put a comment down. And mention that. It's a
I'd like to be able to tell you right now, what our impact will be on your property. I can't. It's too early.
How do we get a?
Okay, so if you go to this address right here, all of this presentation will be right there. So, you can take a picture of it. The bar here, you can bring your phone up and then. Well,
Is this presentation right there now? Oh, it's gonna be, but
it's there now.
So the presentation slides are available on the website, and then the recording of the meeting will be available within 10 days.
Okay, for all of them or this one? Okay, so let's go back if we can to that, yeah, schedule. So this is what you're talking about here? Yeah. So that's what you can expect for this project.
Is there an overlay for all the projects?
Yeah, so let's, yeah, so let's go to that. There's our comprehensive idea right here. That kind of gives you an idea of what you can expect. So after all this pain is over, it should be a beautiful. Well, roads are beautiful.
So what is it? 29, next spots.
That's hopefully 2025, right? So 2024 is 50th. 2025 is 29th. 2028, 2028, and then 2029, 2029. And again, variables, right? Variables. But that's, you gotta have a plan, do your best to stick to it. Yes, ma'am.
Is all of this funded? Or is the county hoping to get funded?
So funding for this is a lot of sources, right? You have all of that growth is paying for it and through impact fees, right? You have development fees in other locations. You have federal dollars that are coming in. You have state monies possibly. You can't apply for construction, for example, until you've got your design done. Because they want to see what you're going to build if they're going to give you money for the construction, the feds, for example. Right?
So it's possible
So-
you might not get funded.
I'm back over here going, come on, baby. We've got, yeah, we have a regional transportation council that looks at the big picture and understands what needs to be built to meet the growth. Right? So I can't tell you that this has priority over everything, but boy, it's pretty darn important if they're going to open up the urban growth boundary and allow development to open. You got it. Who wrote it? Yes, ma'am.
So is anybody looking at the impact from the recent Supreme Court decision about impact fees?
I'm not aware of that.
Okay, it was a case out of California that had to do with traffic impact fees. And so it's, there's a concern and fees go away.
Okay, I can tell you that we have a series of development agreements in place, which requires them to pay their fair share. Let's put that way. So that was part of the discussion, and I don't want to get into that whole urban growth boundary and why it was lifted and all that kind of stuff, but part of the grease of those skids was, hey, we'll come up with our funds early for you so you can get going.
Okay, so you don't rely on impact fees.
Oh, yeah.
You do.
Oh, yeah.
So that's, I guess, who should we talk to at the county to see if they're looking at relative to the case that just got handed
The
down?
case you're referring to applies to jurisdictions that was the overreach, where there's no nexus or proportionality. Here,
So you feel like,
within all the impact fees assessed to jurisdictions, whether or not you want to pay them, there is a methodology that's able to show that it is nexus.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here.
But like they.
Yeah.
I understand the case you're referring to. I also just direct interpretation of the fact that it is a perfect case.
How much additional housing development plan for the stretch of road between now and the time it's completed and go
Well, yeah, there are so many factors and all I know is until they go build a road, I'm gonna go build a road. Other questions? So,
So why do we like 10-foot bike lanes on each side of the road instead of just being one side?
well, that was a decision that was made because, you know, in the future, well, you go down this path. You want to encourage bicycling, you want to encourage pedestrians. We've got a fairgrounds, right? We got an amphitheater right here. I mean, it's gonna make it so much better than paying to park over here if you can walk over and walk. It's a long walk, but get on your bike. Not quite as bad with the bike, but go ahead, John. Let me bring this to everybody.
In previous life, before I went to do Costco in Alberta after Richfield, I was a consultant for the county on this corridor. One of the reasons that you're seeing two 10-foot multi-use paths, one is the national standard when you combine bicycles and pedestrians is at least 10 feet. So keep bikes from running into pedestrians. The other thing though, is if a 10-foot path replaces a 6-foot bike lane and a 6-foot sidewalk, so it actually works the narrow pavement section in there, so you are saving a little bit of money by doing that.
Sure. Are they gonna change the mailboxes? The mailbox is on the south side of 179th. It's already hard to get across that road to get the mail. Are they gonna change, put the mailboxes over to the homes on the other side?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I think a lot of that's gonna be the postal service that are gonna make that decision. And how they do their deliveries. We don't want you walking across 4-lane road for that. And so, you know, if we can, we'll try to put the mailboxes on the side of the house. That's what we try to do on all our projects, but we don't get a choice in that. They have to be willing to accept it.
There's really no problem now. Well,
Yeah. But what it'll require them to do is to change the route, and that's the time. Yeah, I hope I answered your questions, and again, I apologize for the next 6 years, but we're gonna make a mess to make something nice.